Hello. Hello. How are you guys doing? Hope you guys are having a good Monday. Starting to finally warm up a little bit here, so I don't know. Sometimes maybe it's a sign to go out. I've been itching to go out. Go out and walk around. I've sprained my ankle, so I've been house. What is it? House? What's the phrase? But I've been stuck in the house for pretty much for about a week or so. So I really want to go out, but I feel like I should still maybe stay in the house for a bit before going out. I'm housebound. Thank you, Kevin. There we go. But hello, Inspirational Zone 2. Cool name. I don't know if you're still here, but you were the first one here. Hello, Astronomical Very 4, or maybe is it like Varia? Also cool name. And hello, Moon Cherub. Hello. Tired, but school is overworking me again. Oh, well, hopefully you get some time to relax, even though school's going on. Hello, Athena, unknown. Hello. I'll just kind of welcome everybody in before we start. Got the coffee, well, I didn't have breakfast actually. I very rarely have breakfast. I do not wake up early enough to have breakfast, which is not a bad thing. I mean, not a good thing. I mean, I should wake up earlier to have breakfast, but yeah. Hello, Cult of the Hermits. Hello, Livy Lou Draws. Hello. Still a little bit early, but we'll be starting soon. But yeah, hopefully you guys also had a good weekend. This weekend, what did I do? Nothing. I did nothing this weekend. I don't know if you guys watch TV, but I'm like watching Singles Inferno, so I guess that's what I did over the weekend. Because I'm housebound, I can't really go anywhere, can't really do anything. So yeah, I've been wanting to go skating with my friends, and every time we try to book a session to go, not book a session, but like every time we try to plan a day or date to go skating, something comes up. Either we just run out of time, or like, I don't know, something happens. There's like maybe things that we gotta do during the weekend, so it just never works out. And then I sprained my ankle. And then I checked the weather, and apparently this next coming weekend, or like the end of this week, it's supposed to be like 20, not 20. It's supposed to be like 15, 10 degrees. And so I'm like, wow, okay, spring is just crashing in. Spring is like step aside winter. It's no longer negative anymore. We are back into like spring weather. And I'm just like, wow, okay. No, we're not easing it in. We're not starting with like a nice like 0, 3 degrees or 5 degrees. We're jumping right into like the 10s. I'm like, okay, that's a really sudden jump over there. I see. Cool. Well, it is 12, so I guess we'll get started. Just gonna grab all the... Give me a sec. I'm gonna grab all the things that I need. But yeah, hello everybody, and welcome to today's stream. Glad you guys are able to join us. As you can see on my screen, today we are going to be diving into animation, and more specifically, how to animate on Krita. And we're going to be animating this intro banner that we created, that me and Faye both created. And I think in our Valentine's Day stream, which was not too long ago. But yeah, I'm going to take this image here, and we're going to add like some nice simple animations, nothing too crazy, just like some small things so that when this banner is up on the screen while you guys are waiting for us to go live, there will be like some movements, and I believe we are hoping to put like a timer onto it so that we're a little bit more kind of, I guess, sticking to a time frame, and then also you guys know when exactly we go live, because sometimes we'll be like, oh, we'll go live in like 5 minutes, but it's like what does that mean, you know? And if you read the message late, it's like 5 minutes from like what time. So hopefully the counter will make it a little bit more involved, and you guys will be a bit more up to date as to when we go live. But yeah, that's kind of what we're gonna be working on. So the plan for in terms of like a rough schedule, I'm just gonna walk through how to animate on Krita very briefly. We do have a video on how to animate using Krita. It's a very good video, very thorough video out there. It's one of our most popular videos. But yeah, check it out if you have ever wanted to learn how to animate on Krita, but I'll still walk through it here on the stream nonetheless. And then I'm going to show you how we're going to do like small, simple looping type animations for the image. And then maybe further down the line after the introductions, I'll walk through or kind of mention specifically what it is that I'll be animating. But yeah, and then yeah, the reason why we're kind of going through this is because a lot of you guys are just either starting with Krita, and some of you also, or not some of you guys specifically, but just in general, people sometimes are surprised when they find out that Krita has an animation component to it, because they're like, oh, it's just for drawing and everything. But no, there's a very robust, very thoroughly implemented animation compartment inside of Krita, which is really, really cool because it's very rare to find that in a free software. So yeah, just gonna kind of show you guys how it works. And so hopefully by the end we'll have a nice kind of a fun and moving illustration for our banner over here. And hopefully you guys can also get a chance to start animating on Krita as well. So yeah, that's kind of the plan. And I guess with all of that out of the way, I guess for a more proper introduction, if you guys have never been to our streams before and this is your first time joining us, well, hello and welcome to our stream. We are called Winged Canvas over here, and my name is Josh. I'm one of the instructors at Winged Canvas, and I specialize in animation and drawing and painting, as well as like illustration. That's kind of what I graduated with, and we're a school of illustration and visual storytelling dedicated to helping art nerds turn their passion into income. And yeah, so if you want to check out our website, we got a whole list of classes and instructors there that you can check out if you've ever wanted to level up your art skills. And yeah, and also if you want to just keep up to date with us, we also have social media, so definitely follow us on Discord and Instagram. We pretty much post most of our updates on Discord, and we post a lot of our finished pieces and also kind of just monthly updates in terms of class discounts and maybe just like some class demos on Instagram as well. So if you want to keep up to date with what we do, social media is a good place to stay updated. And yeah, I think that's about it pretty much. Let me see. I used to use Krita to play Tetris. What? That's crazy. Wait, you made a game on Krita? Or maybe you like animated Tetris? Is that what you mean? I didn't know you can, if you can make a game or you can play Tetris on Krita, that's kind of cool. I didn't know that. Yeah. Okay, so if you guys didn't know as well, before we start the actual topic for the stream, we usually dive into our community's art challenge. So every month on Discord, in the art challenge section, we have an art challenge that is kind of presented to our community and which allows them to kind of participate and submit their own art pieces. And it's just really cool because we get to see what the community is doing, and it makes it feel like everybody's very involved. And so because March literally just started, the challenge has just started I guess starting since yesterday. So there's not too many submissions, but we did get 3. Or not 3, I think I put up 4 here. So it's pretty much all the submissions that have come in so far. But this month is comic panel power up. So I believe you can submit a kind of contained comic book panel containing either 1 panel to 4 panels, but it should be like a contained idea or concept. And yeah, feel free to submit your comic book panels or your kind of concepts and ideas or stories, and hopefully maybe this is an incentive to get you working on that comic book story that you've been wanting to do. And feel free to submit into the community. Everybody's super encouraging and very welcoming, so it is a very safe place for you guys to submit your pieces. So without further ado, here is our first piece. Let me just turn this off. Here's our first one. This is by Angel Archer. So thank you, Angel Archer, for submitting. This is like a kind of a cool piece. We got a wolf walking up to a dragon, and also love to see traditional submissions here. It's very rare to get traditional submissions, but every now and then it catches my eye. I see some of them happening. So yeah, thank you for submitting, Angel Archer. Really cool piece here. The next one is by Bumble Buddy, I believe. Hopefully I'm getting the names in the right order, but yeah, also really cool piece here. This one kind of looks digital. I don't know, I can't really tell, but either way, the texture is really, really cool. I love the kind of almost a bit of an animated head rotation at the top panel there. Really nice stuff. But yeah, awesome piece here. Okay, and then the next one is by G Comic Man. So we've actually shown G Comic Man the last time we streamed, or last time I streamed. So here's another one by you, G Comic Man. Really cool, kind of like a nice short piece here. Someone's got a little bump on their nose, and I guess they're like trying to stick the band-aid perfectly on the nose tip. And the way you've drawn the band-aid kind of like peeling open so that they could put it on is like really, really nice. I feel like that's drawn really, really well. So really cool stuff here, G Comic Man. Okay, and then I think there's one more. This one is by Tamarin Lover. Excuse me. Really colorful piece here. I really like the colors going on and just how dynamic the action looks. Yeah, really, really thorough and detailed drawing here. Good stuff, Tamarin Lover. So thank you everybody for submitting. Thank you to the community for putting their pieces out there. And again, the month has literally just started. So you guys have the whole month to work on any kind of comic panels. You can submit any previously worked on comic panels. It doesn't have to be all completely brand new. It is really just a space for you guys to share what you guys are working on, but definitely feel free to work on something brand new. And hopefully this is an encouragement to get starting on that piece or idea that you've been kind of holding off on. And who knows, maybe you might get a little bit of a shout out in our live streams, kind of like just like how it is here. So thank you, you4, for submitting really awesome pieces here. And yeah, that's kind of it for our live, or not our live stream, but for our kind of for our art challenges. Yeah. Okay, so we're gonna jump right into it, into the main topic of discussion for today's live stream. Just making sure I have everything laid out the way I want it. Okay, so starting from the top, I guess. If you guys have never used the animation component for Krita, you can find the animation kind of panel under settings. So it should be here. And then if you go to Dockers, there should be a kind of an option here called animation timeline. And if you select that, it'll create a timeline at the very bottom. So that's really cool. Oh, this is interesting. It usually pins everything, so I wonder why nothing's pinned. Huh, that's kind of unique. I've never had that before. But yeah, so we'll have our animation timeline here, and basically this is how you get everything done. Making all the new frames, playing, stopping, pausing, making duplicate frames, even adjusting the frame rate, or even accessing the onion skin. It's all going to be down here. So if I click this icon with the 3 stripes, I get to kind of adjust and decide how many frames this sequence is going to be. I know that my head is covering it, so maybe I'll just move it here for now. So if I click this, you'll see these over here, and I can kind of adjust where my animation starts, and then also where, or like how long the sequence is going to be. So I usually like to work with like maybe a smaller count, so maybe we'll put it down to like 50. Since we're doing just a looping animation, hopefully it won't have to be too long, and it'll just be on loop anyways, so it doesn't have to be too long. But you know, you never know. Maybe we'll need a little bit more, but we'll start with 50 just so that we can kind of work with everything in view on the timeline. Yeah, and I'm just gonna stick it back here. And then the other thing that's really useful is going to be the onion skin over here. So this lets you see what animated frames are coming from previous frames, and then also what is coming up ahead. So that's what these numbers are. If you want to see 2 frames ahead or 2 frames behind in relation to the current frame that you're working on, that's how you adjust it. And you can see up to 10 frames back and 10 frames ahead. So that it's up to you. I would recommend sticking to mostly either like 1 or 2 frames. I don't think it's it gets too busy if you were working with like all the frames visible. So I recommend just having 1 or 2 frames kind of in view of each other. Okay, so that's kind of just a very quick rundown on how the animation kind of panel works. And yes, glad Kevin answered that, but yes, you can submit your art for the art challenges in the Discord. So if you go to Discord, the community Discord, there is a part that says like art submissions, I think. There's a channel called art submissions, and then a sub channel called art challenges. And if you click on it, there should be a thread that opens up like another kind of conversation panel that pops up that shows all the submissions and also all the details about the art challenge. Okay, so because this is gonna be mostly like all the small stuff, we're gonna keep it fairly small scaled. So we're not gonna be animating anything crazy, and hopefully I'll be able to get this all done by like today's stream. But here's some things that we're gonna be animating. We're gonna be animating some smoke coming out of all the coffee cups. So there's only 2 coffee cups, which is good because then I don't have to animate too much. We're gonna have one come up here, and it's just gonna be a very simple style, because you can kind of see here the style that we've went for as well with these kind of drawings here. We went for a very simple, very straightforward style. So the smoke coming out is also gonna be very straightforward, nothing too complicated. Oh, hello, Kiropiko. Dropping by to say hi, but can't stay for stream. Oh, no problem, but thank you for dropping in and saying hi. But yeah, we're going to do the same one here. This one I might make it a little bit smaller just so it doesn't cover, I believe, Pongo's face, which is Faye's dog here. So the 2 smokes, and then I'm going to try to animate the tails over here. Again, maybe might not do too much. I might honestly just cut this out and then just animate it going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And that's kind of it. Hello, Jess Frazier. Glad you're able to make it. And then we'll also animate the tail of this cat going back and forth, back and forth. And I think that's it. I was actually thinking of maybe animating the bird hopping up and down, like these chicks. These tiny little birds hopping up and down, but we'll see how much time. I think the main one is like maybe the smoke, the tails, definitely the cat's tails, the cat's tail, and then the bird will be very, very last minute if we have enough time. So it's just really small, tiny animation and like small, tiny movements just to make the drawing feel like it has a little bit of life to it. So that when you guys are waiting for a stream to start, it'll just add a little bit of, I don't know, personality to the stream while we're waiting. So before we start though, I'm just gonna make sure everything is the way I want it to be on the layers. Might delete this. We'll just delete that one. Okay, I think we can delete these ones too. Sketch. I'll leave the sketch in. Trying to just like trying to organize everything. So when we're animating on Krita, you definitely want to make sure you have everything separated or as organized as possible, especially if you know what is going to be animated. So oh, thank you. Yeah, the corgi is actually based on my dog. I have a corgi named King, like king and queen kind of king. And yeah, he's a derpy little guy, so I guess that hopefully captures kind of his derpiness. Yeah, okay, so let me see, where's the table? Let's start with the coffee cup on the right hand side. Cool. So the reason why I'm trying to find it is because I want to animate the smoke right above the coffee cup, and I don't want it to, I want everything to be in order. So I want it to be kind of like near where the coffee cup layer would be, so that I just have an idea as to where it is. So we're gonna make a new layer right above food right. So we labeled our layers over here so we know where everything is. And I'm gonna name this new layer Coffee smoke rough. I'm just gonna call it rough. I don't know if it's going to be a rough take, but yeah, let's just get started. So I'm gonna go Dockers, timeline, and you can see here coffee smoke is pinned for me already. And because our animation, I've set it to start on frame 1, I'm just gonna also just select frame 1. And our whole entire sequence is 50 frames, but it's pretty zoomed out right now. Maybe, do I want to zoom all the way out? Maybe. Well, we'll see. We'll see how much time something should take for like smoke to kind of loop back into itself. So maybe I'll walk through just generally how to start an animation. So here I have frame 1, and I'm gonna quickly just make a blank frame. So to make a blank frame, you're gonna click this icon over here. It says add blank frame. I'm gonna click it, and I'm also definitely make sure, if you've never animated before, make sure that the layer, you have the correct layer selected before making that blank frame. It's not that big of a deal, you can always undo, but just so that before you carry on and start adding a bunch of details, you don't get carried away, only to realize that you animated on the wrong layer. So yeah, just make sure that you have the right layer selected, and maybe I'm gonna highlight it a different color. Let's highlight it red on the layer panel, just so that I can keep an eye on it, so I know that that is an animation layer. Or maybe orange. Let's go orange. Red is kind of intense, so we'll do orange so that I just know it's going to be animated. And let's just block it in first. So I'm going to get my brush opened, and I want to keep things fairly straightforward, fairly simple. Oh, that's so weird. Okay, so this is something that is kind of interesting. The ballpoint pen brush disappeared from Krita. So if you download Krita right now, I can't find the ballpoint pen brush, and this smoke brush has disappeared, this hatch noisy. Just a little bit of a tangent. We literally just made a brush video, I think maybe a month ago or 2 months ago, and two of the brushes that I mentioned in it are now gone from Krita, which is really weird. So if you download default Krita and you open up the brush panel or the brush presets to see all the brushes that you have, so you can see here on my brush panel, this says brush presets, and I was like scrolling through all the brushes, and I found that I couldn't find the ink ball pen, and I couldn't find the hatch noisy brush. I know that Krita sometimes can be maybe a little bit glitchy, so maybe, I don't know, it just didn't get downloaded when I installed it onto my computer, but I have it here. So I might just kind of save the settings that they have, and then just recreate the brush or export it into, I don't know, my new Krita file. I don't know, it's weird because I made a new user account. Either way, that's a little bit of a side tangent. So we are gonna start with trying to figure out what brush to use. 7 p.m. opposed to 10 p.m. on Saturday streams. Oh, nice. Yeah, glad you're able to join us, Fontaine. Fontaine Waters. I'm like, wait, did I say it right? But yeah, glad you're able to join us. I think I'm gonna start with a fairly solid brush. You know, we'll add textures. I'm always one for textures. So I'm gonna use this charcoal pencil medium. This is kind of one of my favorite. This is kind of one of my favorite brushes to use from Krita. It just has a good amount of texture to it. It's not too fancy, but it's like just fancy enough, I guess, to add a little bit of character to your line work. So I'm gonna use it. This is the default one. I have made my own personal one where I've just made it a little bit more tapered at the brush tip, but we'll use the default one so that it's a bit more chunkier. And the color we're gonna use is let's see, color. I was gonna start off with kind of like a light, kind of very, very bright color. Let's see how it looks. It looks pretty good. So I'm gonna just color it in as one thick shape. So I'm not going to Here, I don't want to try to start off with line work. I kind of want to start off with just a nice thick, oops, nice thick kind of shape here. And we're just gonna have it go all the way to, yeah, I don't want to deal with line work. I kind of wanted to just go right into the shape. So we'll be animating more of the solid form rather than animating line work. Let's see how that looks. It might be a bit too big. I'm gonna shave it down a little bit. Again, we're just kind of animating something very simple for this coffee cup and for this banner in general. So I'm not trying to make it too complicated of a shape, just something so that we can kind of get started with easily. Yeah, for anybody who's like staying on, but you're like, oh, you know, I'm not able to hang out for the whole time, no worries. If you wanted to kind of figure out like what it is that we'll be kind of drawing, and you want to kind of watch the whole thing, these do go up later live as VODs. Okay, so we have our first drawing here, and you can kind of see that on our timeline now, it's been kind of, it has this like striped, diagonally striped hatch marks on the first frame. So that means that you have placed a frame there. So if I go to like frame 3 and I click add blank frame, you'll notice that it disappears. So that means that we have a frame of animation now on our coffee smoke layer, and it's only on frame 1. I can like delete this one, and you'll see that it kind of holds throughout the whole entire time frame until we add a new frame there, or a new drawing anywhere on the timeline. Okay, so a little bit of a quick animation kind of, I guess, terminology lesson. The way that we're going to be animating this smoke is something called straight ahead. There's two ways of, or I guess technically there's 3 approaches to animation. There's straight ahead, and then there is pose to pose. So straight ahead is what we're going to be doing, which is we're going to be animating frame by frame by frame by frame by frame ahead as we kind of move along the drawing, or move along the animation. Pose to pose is kind of working with the first frame and then finding the next important key pose. So that's why we call it a key pose. Key as in like it's important. It's kind of like the main pose that we're trying to hit next. So pose to pose is a bit more planned out. It's a little bit more structural. It allows you to animate people like walking or running or doing kind of action poses. But when we're doing things that are a bit more organic and a bit more unpredictable in terms of like how it's going to move, we like to use straight ahead. So things for like water or hair or fire, or even like clothing, like capes. We tend to kind of use a more straight ahead approach because those things move in a more organic, random type of a way. So because of that randomness, we work at it frame by frame, bit by bit. But because we're also doing a looped animation, we're going to use the third option, which is what most animators use, which is combining both straight ahead and pose to pose together. So it's a little bit of kind of like a back and forth. You start off with pose to pose, figuring out what you want to aim for, and then you connect everything together using straight ahead. So the reason why we're using both is because I want to loop this animation. So I need a duplicate and make sure that the animation ends up going back to this first frame over here. So I'm just going to plan it out roughly. I'm going to kind of let's get a feel for how long it is. So if people are kind of figuring out like, oh, how long do you know how long an animation sequence is supposed to go? Just time it out in your head. Kind of run the sequence in your head and maybe like tap a beat down and count how long it is. Sometimes it could be shorter than a second. It might not be a perfect like 3 seconds or 4 seconds, but it'll give you a rough estimate and a rough idea as to how long that sequence is going to be. So I'm gonna kind of just, you can't see it because I don't have my camera on or anything, but I'm gonna wave my arm kind of just to see how long I want it to be. So it's like 1, 2. So maybe like 2 seconds ish is what we'll aim for. And that would put us at, so we're working with 24 frames a second, so that puts us around 48, which is perfect because I labeled our sequence to be 50 frames. So maybe I'll keep it at 50 frames just to kind of hold it there. Let's see, how do I want to do this? You know, we'll shrink it down so that we can have all the frames in view. Maybe I will change it to 48 just for the purposes of that explanation. And I'm gonna take the first frame here and I'm gonna hold down Control and I'm gonna click that frame and drag it, and that will allow me to duplicate the first frame. So now I have the first and last frame, they are the same. So that's how we're gonna loop this sequence animation. And so everything in between is going to be building up back to the first frame, essentially. Yeah, actually this might be kind of long, but we'll see. Yeah, so everything that I do in between, I can kind of do whatever I want, but I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna also leave markers to let me know on the timeline how much space or how many frames I have left to animate this. And we're not gonna animate maybe every single frame. We'll animate on twos, which is another animation term, which basically means that I'm not gonna animate every frame, but I'm gonna animate every other frame. So animating on ones means you're animating every frame, animating on twos means you're animating every other frame, and then animating on threes, which is also a possibility, means you're animating every third frame, I think. No, I guess if this is your first frame, you leave 2 frames in between and you animate next on the 4th frame. So it depends on, I guess, like how you kind of categorize it in your head, but you basically leave 2 frames in between before working on the next one. So we'll mostly be animating on twos. Yeah. So hopefully that makes some sense. If you have any questions about everything that I've said, let me know. But we're going to start with this, and this is where having the onion skin is also going to be important, so I know kind of where we're heading in. And I'm going to turn that on, and actually on the onion skin, I'm going to turn off the forward, like looking ahead to my next upcoming frame, because I'm gonna see the last frame all the time, and I don't want to kind of see that. I just want to see the one that came before, so that I know what next movement to make it. And we're just gonna do a very simple back and forth movement, nothing too crazy or over the top. And honestly, there's a chance that this might not take 2 seconds. It might be shorter. I could probably get this working in under 2 seconds. But again, with animation, sometimes you never know how it's going to go. So let's just start. Oh, and also one last thing. I have this turned on. So I have auto key blank on and selected. So if it's off, it'll have this little X. Oh, my head's blocking it. There's this little icon here called auto key, and so you can kind of see that there's like different options: auto key blank, auto key duplicate. I'm gonna have auto key blank selected, and I'm gonna turn it on. So if it's off, it's gonna be X'd out, and then if it is on, it will be the X won't be there. So the reason why I want this on is because I want to be, the moment my stylus touches a brand new frame, it makes a brand new animation cell. So you can see here, I have on the time frame, 12 is selected, and then if I press my stylus on the screen, it instantly turns it into a brand new keyframe, a blank frame to work with. So that just makes it easier. And yeah, and yes, I'm going to show you how I'm going to do the loop animation. Honestly, the way you approach a loop animation is how you would approach any kind of loop animation. The only key thing is that we want to make sure that the last frame is kind of the same as the first frame, so that when it leads up to it, it's able to kind of settle and ease back into the first frame, so it looks like it just naturally loops back. So everything that we do in between, though, it's completely up to us, or I guess completely up to me. I can kind of do whatever I want with the movement. Actually, maybe let's animate on threes. Oh, and I said that I was gonna divide the whole timeline. So let's make this, well, actually, we'll do that later. Let's jump to 4, and gonna have this one push here. Yeah, so I kind of want to move the wave of the smoke kind of over here, and then maybe we'll tuck this in a little bit, kind of have it sway into the over to the right, and then we'll have this one straighten out and go this way. So what I'm kind of paying attention to, especially if any of you want to animate like a quick smoke animation, is I want to pay attention to where all the curves are, and I kind of want to follow the curvature. Now this is the max height of my smoke. I don't want it to go any higher than this because I don't want to kind of have to deal with the smoke going up and then going back down and then going back up. So this is how high it'll go, and we'll have it kind of end the tip here. So I'm paying attention to how many bumps there are. So there's 1 bump here, there's like 1 bump, 2 bumps, 3 bumps, 4 bumps, and I'm kind of just keeping track of like where are those all moving in. So that's why I have it like this. Yeah, I think that looks pretty good. We'll move on to the next one, and we can always clean this up later as well. So I'm gonna move on to the next one, and I try to keep my kind of try to keep an eye on like, and just try to remember which direction I wanted the smoke to move in. So it was moving this way, and also I try to also flip back and forth between my animations so that I can kind of also know what I was kind of going for. So I might kind of straighten this one out a little bit. And then we'll start a new bump down here. So I want to kind of maintain like around 4 bumps, like 4 little curves in the smoke. So I have 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4. I think that's kind of what I'm aiming for. Let's kind of push this back here. So I've created a shortcut. Oops. Kind of created a shortcut with my animation where it only jumps to the blue frames. So I can kind of flip through them as quickly as I can. And I'm trying to kind of push it up a little bit so that the smoke chunks, like the bumps, are moving up slowly. So it's kind of moving to the right, but then I want it to move up a little bit. And then there's a small bump at the bottom slowly starting to form. And then we'll move to the next one. And then this one I'm gonna have it come back slowly. And then we'll start it here. And then again, I'm gonna have this bump is slowly moving up. So I'm gonna have it be up here now. Then this bump is moving up as well, so I'm gonna have this one moving up. And the great thing about also animating straight ahead is that it is a little bit more improvised. It is a little bit more randomized to an extent. So a lot of animators kind of like it because it adds a little bit of more of a natural movement to the flow of your sequence. And whereas with pose to pose, with pose to pose, it can feel a little bit more mechanical. It can feel a little bit more too predictable in a sense. So, oh, what happened there? So with straight ahead, it makes it feel a little bit more organic and natural. Frame by frame is pain by pain. I mean, with small, simple things like this, it's not too bad. Definitely, it requires a little bit of patience and a little bit of kind of hunkering down and kind of getting a better idea as to, or not getting a better idea, but kind of just like sitting down, maybe putting on some music, putting on a podcast, maybe even, so that you can kind of just like lock in, as they say, and just focus on like what it is that you need to animate. And the nice thing about more natural movements as well is that it doesn't have to perfectly connect, because our brain kind of sees something like smoke, for example, and we kind of understand that it's not meant to be, it doesn't move perfectly from frame to frame, unlike like animating a character. So if you're animating a character swinging their arm back and forth as they're walking, and the arm is jumping back and then jumps forward and then it goes to the side and it's kind of jittering all over the place, it definitely feels like something's wrong, or it can very much stand out like, oh, it's not animated like smoothly. But with smoke or water or with hair, you can sometimes have quote unquote, I guess, jumps in movements or and shapes because of just how it's organic, and it'll feel normal. So that's kind of like the nice thing about this. So as I'm animating every new frame, I am also kind of keeping an eye on like, does it look like it's flowing? And I would say that it is. And yeah, with pose by pose and not pose by pose, straight ahead, and with animating like this, you definitely need to. It's a little bit of a patience game, kind of keeping in mind of like what it is that you're animating, how did you go about doing it, and just kind of repeating it back and forth. So yeah, we'll do the next one here, and I'm just like, okay, this one kind of moved up, and I think I'm gonna lower my brush size, maybe a little bit too, it's a bit too big. So we're gonna have it here, and this is gonna be like the last bit of this one. And then this one is coming up. It's kind of dissipating, right? So it's not only is it moving up, but it's also getting smaller. And we're also moving it maybe back center, because I kind of moved it away from the center area. And we'll move this here. It's flowing very nicely. Oh, thank you, Jess. Yeah, I don't know. You know what's kind of cool is I'm hoping that 2D animation is making a bit of a comeback. I don't know if you guys saw it, but the Gorillaz recently released like a brand new animated kind of music video, I guess. And I think it's for a new album. But it's all 2D animated. They all painted like the backgrounds and everything, and it looks so good. It looks really, really nice. I will admit though, I've never really listened to the Gorillaz. The Gorillaz was never really my kind of genre of music. Some of their stuff is not bad, but yeah, I never really grew up listening to them, and then I never like caught on when I was introduced to them. But that new music video does make me intrigued, and I kind of want to check out this new album if like when it releases. But that animation short, if you haven't watched it yet, it is really, really cool. Yeah. So I'm kind of going back and forth, just making sure that the smoke is moving in the correct direction. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, so what I'm trying to keep in mind is like how many bumps I had. So I was like 1, 2, 3, 4. I guess this one is like 5 now as I'm kind of moving it up. And yeah, I'm trying to keep in mind that I want the smoke to move upwards. I want it to go this way. And every bump that I'm kind of keeping track of is also moving up and kind of slowly moving towards the tip, and it's getting smaller. So the direction that the smoke is moving up, but then the size of the bumps and the size of kind of these curves are also getting smaller. So that's kind of my, I guess, my mindset currently. But also the natural flow of this. Keeping in mind of the randomness, I don't, you know what, for the randomness, I don't think I'm keeping too much track of it, because I know that as I'm drawing, it will be just random in general. So I don't have to keep in mind of too much of the randomness, just like I think natural human error, so to speak, will, I think, have that randomness to it. So all I'm really keeping track of is like the direction of the bumps, where they're moving, and then that the fact that they're getting smaller as they're getting higher, and they're also kind of moving upwards. And every new frame, I also have to create like a new bump down here. So I guess that's kind of what I'm keeping in mind of. 2D animation just has a certain vibe that you really can't reproduce with 3D animation. Yeah, no, for sure. There's a certain kind of, almost a sense of like a magic that comes from really, really well animated 2D animations. That some pieces are able to get. Not every piece I think has it, but when you're able to get it, it's like, oh, it feels so nice. So this is the new frame, right? So let's say this area up here. What I'm keeping track of, or what I want to keep track of, is having this part move up to here now, and it's also now smaller. So if it's smaller, it's going to be up here. Would lowering the opacity make it look more Yeah, we can lower the opacity afterwards, for sure. Yeah, we could play around with that. So this bump is moving here, and it's also getting smaller, remember? So we're not really going to play it up too much. And then this one is moving here, so this bump is now up here, and it's also getting smaller. So we're not going to play it up. We're not going to kind of make it stand out too much. And then this one is moving here, and again, it's getting smaller. So again, I don't want to make it stand out too much. But then as it's coming down, it's getting bigger. So this new bump down here, as it moves up, it's going to get bigger. So that takes up more space. And honestly, having to explain this to you guys is kind of helpful in a way, because it also reminds me of like what I need to work on next. So sometimes with more repetitive animations like this, you can sometimes get a little bit lost in the repetitiveness of having to do it. But kind of having to say it to you guys is kind of nice, because it makes me go like, oh, right, this is what I have to do next. It's like, oh, right, I gotta do that. So it's kind of good. Then we're putting it here, and then the next one is gonna be like maybe here. So we'll move the, and again, because we're just doing smoke, we actually have a lot of room for just kind of, if it's not perfect or perfectly accurate, it's actually kind of okay, because it's just smoke. We don't hold too much of a, we're not going like, oh, it's gotta be perfect, you know. So that's kind of like the nice thing about 2D animation, or not 2D animation, but like about more improvised sequences like this. Yeah, okay. You know what, let's just play it out really quickly. I want to see if it flows. Oh, nice. Yeah, that looks pretty good. I feel like that actually loops in itself already, but we'll just keep it going all the way through. Oh, like I said, maybe there might be a chance that I don't have to do like full 50, like cover the whole entire timeline. So we might be able to kind of loop it already. So again, just maybe a quick reminder, I'm trying to make a loop animation, and we have the first frame here, and we have the second frame, or not the second frame, but we have the last frame here, and every frame in the middle, I'm trying to have it so that we can eventually lead up back to the first frame. But there's a chance that we might not need the full timeline, and we can probably like maybe cut it off even like halfway through, and we just like repeat the frames. I can just like duplicate all the frames here and just duplicate it so that it ends up being 48 frames. So we might cut it off right at 24. That leaves a 1, 2, 3. Oh, it's a little bit imperfect, but that's okay. I think, yeah, we'll maybe cut it off at 25 so that we can loop it. And then the other thing too is like we're working with a straight ahead kind of an approach, which means that every new frame that we do is just like the next one over. We don't We don't go here to the end and then jump to the middle and go to the middle and go to this middle and this middle. That would be pose to pose, but because smoke is organic, it's unpredictable, we're using straight ahead, which is we work on this frame, then we move on this frame, and then we move to this one, and then this one, and then this one, and then this one. So that's straight ahead. We're just kind of chugging along, moving through the timeline bit by bit by bit. So that it retains a certain kind of naturalness, organic movement, and flow, and it kind of works better for things that have a more random movement to it, like hair, smoke, and water, and fire even. But yeah, I think that kind of reviews everything. How many cycles do you do before you loop the whole thing, or up till it doesn't look super loopy? Yeah, I guess that kind of answers it. It really kind of depends on the sequence that you would want to do. If you want to do a longer one, or if you know you want to have a much more intricate animation where there's much more random movements, kind of like with fire and smoke. Sometimes it's not perfectly looped. Or I should say, like, most organic things don't perfectly loop. We're just making a loop animation for this one here. But if you're trying to make something look more realistic, or not realistic in the sense of like it looks real, but the movement is more realistic, then most of the times it's not going to loop. It's kind of going to move and kind of waver and kind of wiggle in a more random way. So there's not really any like cycles before you loop. It really comes down to how you want to do it and how long you want the sequence to be, how many random movements and flickers you want to add to the smoke or the fire. But yeah. Okay, next one, we'll put this here. I do need to make it bigger again, so I think we have 1, 2, 3. So I have this one and then the next one to loop it back to the first one. I think that's how much space and time I have. So I'm gonna turn on the forward one so I can kind of see where I need to kind of connect it. So the frame, the last one here, you'll notice that there's a blue frame or blue image that showed up. Beforehand, I was mostly working with a green image as my onion skin image, but you'll notice that there's now a blue one, and the blue one is to show me which frame is coming up ahead. So now that I know like roughly how to tie it all back together. So this one, frame 19, I'm gonna put it down, and it's moving up, and again I said it's gonna be dissipating, so we'll straighten it out a little bit, not too much, because we only have 2 more frames to work with. So I want the frame 22, this one over here, that is the one I'm gonna have it connect back to the first one. Might be a little bit tricky though, because things have definitely kind of changed and moved on. But yeah, so this one is moving here, and it's really shrunk down, so I don't think I have to really emphasize that one. And then this one is moving here, popped up a little bit. Might not need another one. I might be able to tie it all back with just this one frame. So I wanted to lead back. So I'm kind of filling in the gaps in between to see if I can kind of get it in. Might have too many bumps. So we'll kind of improvise. We'll see what I can do to tie it together. Maybe we will need one more frame. Or we might have to just like shift some stuff around. Maybe I might just thin down the first and last frame. Yeah. Maybe we'll do one more. We'll see how I can maybe tie it up. Yeah. So the onion skin definitely is for that. It allows you to kind of tie things in together, so that you know what the next image is that you have to draw. So the green one is going this way. It's a little bit hard to see maybe for you guys, but there's a green shape going this way, and there's a blue one going this way. So this frame, I want to lead up to the last frame here. So that's why I'm putting it kind of in the middle. And I'm having it be very thin. And then the same thing here. I want this one to kind of transition from this one. But the nice thing, we'll see how it kind of comes out. The nice thing about things like smoke is that you don't have to have it be perfectly tied in together. Yeah, because it's smoke. It's not that big of a deal if it doesn't perfectly line up, so it's kind of okay. So the green one, yeah, I might have to change just the last frame. I think the biggest thing is that it's just not thick enough, so I have to thicken up the smoke again, because I realized that I like thinned it down a lot in the animation. But we'll see what kind of how we might be able to fix it, quote unquote. Okay, let's see how this. Let's see if it works. Oh, you know, it kind of works. It has a bit more, you know, it pulled down because I had to thicken it up at the end. I mean, motion-wise, it's pretty good. Let me see, zoomed out, and it's also like so small. So if you guys don't remember, this is what the whole thing looks like. We've just been zoomed in at the coffee cup just to see how it looks, just to like work on it. But it actually isn't too bad. You know what? Yeah, you know, maybe we'll call it here in terms of like for the smoke, and we'll move on to like the other smoke. And then we'll work on the dog's tails. So I think what I'm gonna do here is I'm just gonna go and just maybe thicken back up some of the smokes in between, because I think I lost a little bit of just mass with these as I was working on it, and that caused like the whole entire thing to just like get a little bit skinnier as we're moving along. So what I'm gonna do is I'm looking for the green and the blue shapes, and I'm filling them back in a little bit more so that we don't lose as much mass. So the blue one is moving up ahead, green one maybe here, we'll put it like this. And as I'm working on them, I'm also gonna try to keep an eye on I'm going to be flipping back and forth just to make sure that I'm not making it look too different. That they still kind of flow from one another. So I think it does. So we'll move on to the next one. And again, just going to look at where the green and the blue is. So the green is like the previous one. So, you know, again, be like, okay, I got a lot of space here. I can thicken up this area here. And maybe we can thin down this part. And then raise up this part. Because now everything's where I want it to go, where I need it to be. And it's now just making it feel a bit more consistent. So I'm going back in and just like making sure that it all just ties in with one another. And again, just like flipping just to make sure that it still flows. Yeah, I think it does. Make each frame just a single lining, and go back in and add the mass after you've had the wireframe. I don't think it matters too much, because it kind of just depends on how you like to see it. So for smoke, I feel like line work can get a little bit messy, so that's why I didn't do it as line work, because I was like, oh, it might get too busy visually. and I don't want to kind of get lost with all like the lines and which lines mean what. So kind of like the blue and green, once I put them there, it might make it a little bit harder to kind of see what line is doing, what line like what line represents what and where each line is going. So that's why I didn't go for the kind of the big mass shape. But instead I was like, oh, you know what, I'm going to use it, or not the mass shape, but instead of just outlining it, I was deciding like, okay, I'm just going to fill the whole thing in, so that again it's just easier to get through rather than tracing it and making sure the line work is good, because I feel like I might also get really caught up with the line work, which is something that I know that I can get caught up in. So I think like just due to like the interest of time, and then also with just making it easier to animate the smoke, I think I was just like, okay, the compromise in a way was like, okay, I'm going to capture the mass first. Okay, I think mass is coming along pretty good. I think this is looking much closer, because I think there definitely was like this moment where it just lost mass and it didn't look like the same type of smoke shape. So that's why I'm kind of filling it in again. So anywhere that I can see blue and green, I'm filling it up more towards the green. So I'm not pushing it towards where the blue is, because that blue is where it's going to go, whereas the green is where it was. And so I want to fill it up back to the green area, because that's space that I have that I can work with. Yeah. And then if there's a huge gap like here, I don't know if you can see it, but there's a huge gap between the blue and the white. So that one I can take advantage of, and I'll be like, okay, I can fill up that space because there's so much space to work with. And again, I'm just gonna flip back and forth just to make sure that it flows. And yeah, the mass is looking much better. So now I have a lot of more space to work with. I think what ended up happening was that I looked at the kind of the smoke dissipating, and I was like, oh, okay, like the smoke should be getting smaller. So that's why I'm like, okay, I'm gonna make it shrink. But I think I ended up shrinking it too much. So that's why we ended up getting like this smoke shape that lost its mass. Okay, so we're gonna test it out one more time. Just gonna save it. We're gonna turn off the onion skin, and oh, also a quick tip: if you whatever you highlight, so I've selected the first frame, and then I've selected the this area here, and if I press play, Krita will only play this area. So if you want to check your animation and you're like, okay, I only want to test and see like how this area looks here, you can do this to check if it's looking good or not. So let's play it. Hey, that looks much better. I would say that it's still moving down, which is, I think, you know, okay, because smoke kind of moves in a funny way sometimes. So I will say that it looks good like this. Looks a little bit more natural. If you get deep in, that's a tricky one. I would say it kind of depends on how long the sequence is. So for example, this one is not that long. This sequence is only 50 frames, right? And not only that, I'm deciding that this one here, like, I only need this amount of drawings to do this smoke sequence. Now, if you decide, no, I want it to be 50 frames, 100 frames of completely all fresh new frames, every single one, I'm not going to duplicate it to loop it, then what I would say is like work in chunks, so that you don't end up messing it up. Usually for sequences that are more organic, where you're doing straight aheads, it's kind of hard to mess up, where you'll need to start over, just because it's not usually the main focus, or even if it is the main focus, like if you're animating campfire and the camera is locked in on the campfire and it takes up the whole entire screen, it's kind of hard to mess up, because even if it kind of flickers or moves in a way where you didn't expect it to, it's okay, because it's random. It's hard for people to go like, oh, that the flame wouldn't move like that, unless it did something really, really weird. But usually it's okay if you look at a smoke or fire flicker and then you kind of realize that it's a bit off. It's okay usually, just because it kind of almost feels normal. It's kind of like with the sequence here. So if I kind of show you guys what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna remove the last frame, frame 48. I'm gonna take this and I'm gonna highlight. I'm gonna select all of them, and I'm gonna click Control, hold down, and I'm gonna move all of it, and you'll see that I have duplicated my sequence. Now I'm actually, no, it's perfect. Yeah, it perfectly lines up, so I have enough space. Great. No, that's good. So now I can play it, and the whole thing is looped, just like that. So I would say that with the more natural kind of subject matters like fire, smoke, hair, it's okay if you quote unquote mess up or you animated it in a way where it didn't kind of work, because smoke and fire and things, anything that's organic and unpredictable, it's meant to be not perfect. But if you're animating something really, really long and every single frame is unique and different, then work in chunks. So if you're working on, like, let's say something that's 200 frames and you're not duplicating anything, you're not looping anything, then work in like small little chunks, like maybe every 20 frames, every 40 frames, and then just check if it's all flowing, if it's moving and flowing in the way that you want it to. So then if you make a mistake, you don't have to start over. Because the other thing too is, like, most of the times with things like fire and flames, it's usually stable. It's just kind of staying in spot, and it just needs to look like it's moving. So it's not like animating a human or a character that has like a bunch of limbs, a lot of complexities to it. If you mess it up, it's a bit harder to kind of like go like, oh, well, it's supposed to be a bit random, because we're so used to what humans or characters should move like. If the person walks funny, or if they talk and the mouth movements look funny, or the head movement looks kind of odd, it's hard to be like, oh, well, it's random, you know, it's randomized. That's why you use pose to pose or key poses, because key poses you can plan it out a little bit more. But with stuff like this, where it's supposed to be more random, it's kind of okay. 48 frames of fire for the sake of randomness takes time away from time that could be other parts. Yeah, you can think about it like that too. I think it can also be dependent on the animation that you're working on. So everything with animation, I always kind of say you never know, because you never know what you might want to be doing, or how what the sequence might kind of need for it to look good. So in this case, it's just a looping simple smoke animation, so it's not too big of a deal that it kind of shifts down a little bit at the end. I'm actually kind of okay with it, because it adds this nice little bit of offbeat that I kind of like. But yeah. Okay, so we'll do the next one. So we have like only 1 hour left, and we have to also animate like the other stuff too. So let's see. Food left. Okay, so this is gonna be the other smoke left. Yeah. Okay, so this turned out not to be coffee smoke right. So this, we ended up just going for it, which makes sense. I realize it's not smoke, but we'll just call it smoke for the sake of just simplicity. Let's see, it meets the goal for that. Exactly, yeah. So it's like, I think it's okay. It's very hard to kind of be like, how would you fix it? Because with animation, it's so case-by-case scenario. With animation, the funny thing is that there's actually not a lot that you need to learn when it comes to animation, but it's more of like every sequence is its own challenge. So the tools that you need to animate is actually very, very, like, it's not a big tool set. It's not a very big kit in terms of like just getting animation going. Learning kind of just like the fundamentals, kind of getting the sense of like just movement and how to animate on the time frame, and understanding spacing and timing and squashing and stretching. All those things, yeah, it takes a bit of time maybe to just kind of practice out and get a feel for. But once you have it down, you technically can animate. The tricky part about animation is actually more so of like, how do you tackle every scenario? Because every scenario might be a little bit different. Depending on how long the sequence is, how short it is, how complicated do you want it to be, how simple, the style of it. Is it a more cartoony style like what we have here, or is it a more anime style? And is it more blocky, simple shapes like what we have here, or is there line work, colors, and lighting that you have to incorporate? So all these kind of extra things makes animation complicated, but at its core, animation is actually very straightforward in terms of what you need. It's actually more of like the other stuff around animation that's not directly animation related that makes animation hard. So your drawing capabilities, your styles, lighting, how you're deciding to render it, how complex is the sequence, the storytelling part of it. Like, those things are not necessarily directly animation related. They make your animation better though, or they make your animation in a certain direction, which I think is the more complicated part. It feels more practical, or mod practical. Okay, which one are we working on next? Okay, I'm gonna unpin that one so we can start all over again, and we're gonna add a blank frame of animation to this one. And turn on the onion skin. So we're gonna do the exact same thing, but now with the coffee cup on the left. So it's the same principle. This one, like I said, I'm going to make it a little bit more, maybe smaller or slightly shorter, so just so that it doesn't cover completely Pongo's face. So I'm just gonna, again, map it out. Maybe we'll put it like here. Oh, is Pongo behind? Oh, Pongo of course is behind. Okay, gonna have to make Pongo. Where's Pongo? Okay, we're gonna have to put the smoke in front of Pongo. Where are you, Pongo? Okay, here you are. It was not too big of a deal. I just wanted the smoke to be in front of everything that's here, so we had to put it in front of Pongo. And then again, like I said, this one's gonna be a small one, so yeah. Oh, by the way, in terms of the question about like, oh, how come we didn't like use line work at first? You can use line work, but because the style here, you'll notice there's no line work with any of our characters and drawings here. So in order to make the smoke feel like it matches the style, it just makes more sense to go right in and not add any kind of line work, because there's not gonna be any line work for the there's not gonna be any kind of line work for the smoke. So in my head as well, just for the sake of also just efficiency, I guess, there's no point in adding any line work because we're gonna erase the line work anyways. We're not gonna need it. So I was like, oh, you know what? There's no point. Don't need the line work. Okay, so this is our first one. Maybe that's a bit big. let's shrink down how thick this smoke is. We'll make it a little bit thicker. Also, the other thing too is like I'm keeping the smoke fairly simple by having it not be too complicated of a shape, because you can get more complicated. We can add like wisps to it, we can add like other lines of smoke to it, but because we've gone for a very, very simple style here, it makes animating it much easier. Okay, there. I think that's pretty good. So same thing. I think I'll do the same as the smoke on the right, where we're not gonna do the whole thing. We're just gonna loop it up to frame. I think we had it at 24 or 25. Can't really remember. It's not too big of a deal. I'm just gonna put it here as a placeholder, and we're gonna do the same thing. We're gonna animate it on 3s. And let's push this up here. Oops. Push this up here. And then this one up here. I'm gonna try to keep a better eye on kind of the shape of it and how big it is. Yeah. And I'm gonna focus more on just like pushing the shape of the smoke up. This Pongo is such a cute name. Yeah, and that's Faye's dog. Pongo is a really good dog's name. It looks sick so far. Oh, thank you. We need to have a center line starting rather than an outline to make sure it looks good by the end. A center line. Yeah, that could work too. So if, again, animation at its very core is actually very straightforward. Everything else that you add, or any kind of like tips or tricks that you add for it, is perfectly fine. So if you, for example, if you feel like the smoke, you would have some issues kind of making sure that it stays centered, then put a center line in the middle so that you can kind of keep track of like where all these little bumps in the smoke are. I'm gonna have this one go here, it's dissipated, and then this one's like here. I still want to keep a bit of the randomness, so we're not gonna make it. I still want to keep an eye on the sense of mass, so we're kind of learning from the first one, kind of keeping an eye on the mistakes that we made in the first one so that we don't make them again. But for this, I still like the randomness. So because it's not a perfect duplicate, because it's not a perfect one-to-one recreation of the smoke, that randomness, that quote-unquote human error, is what allows for things to feel more lively. Actually, the imperfections is what's great about animation, 2D animation, in my opinion. Sometimes it's the imperfection of trying to make something perfect is what makes something look great. I know it sounds like a oxymoron, or it's an ironic statement, but I do think that's kind of what makes 2D animation look great. It's in the effort of pursuit. It's in the pursuit of perfection. I guess, you know what? It's kind of like that Harry Potter quote from like Philosopher's Stone. It's like, the Philosopher's Stone only reveals itself to those who don't want to use it for their own kind of gain. And that's when people can obtain the Philosopher's Stone. And as a kid, that's always kind of like warped my mind, because it's like what do you mean? Like, so if I don't want to look for it, that's when I can find it, and then when I want to look for it, I can't find it. And I guess animation's kind of the same. It's the pursuit and the intent of pursuing perfection in animation that gets you to draw well. But if you aim too much to draw perfectly, and you get too stuck on drawing perfectly and making everything perfect, your animation becomes imperfect. Maybe I'm also kind of making it too complicated for you guys. Maybe it'll also be like, wait, what are you talking about? What's happening? But yeah, I think this is just like something about animation that's kind of really neat, kind of cool. You want it to be perfect, but you don't want it to be too perfect, basically, with animation. Well said. Thank you. It's the pursuit and the aim to be perfect, not the act of constantly trying for it to be perfect. I think I'm still gonna have the whole like mass problem, like with the sense of volume consistency, as a problem with the smoke, but it's okay. We'll deal with it when we deal with it. Learning on Krita, thanks for tutorial. I'm about to subscribe. Oh, well, thank you, Jabin. Yeah, glad you're dipping your toe into animating on Krita. Hope you're enjoying the kind of the process of it. I know that animation's kind of something that a lot of people want to try out, and I think Krita is kind of like a great place to start for it. Nah, it's a big lesson I need to internalize. I tend to get stiffness where gesture would fit better. Yeah, you know, actually that's a good example of like where that can also pop up. I feel like figure drawing is such a good example of that aspect of like you want to be perfect, but in the when you try to be too perfect, I think that's the emphasis, is if you try to be too perfect, that's when you lose kind of the naturalness from drawing something. And I think figure drawing is a big one that carries that sentiment as well, which is just that like a lot of people see figure drawing and get intimidated because it's like, oh, it's a very technical thing, so I gotta learn anatomy and muscles and proportions. And yeah, that's important, but there's a big component to figure drawing as well that makes it look the way that it looks, and that is the improvised aspects of it. It's being loose and accepting that sometimes your drawing is not going to be perfect, and it's actually kind of sometimes like when you can kind of learn to balance perfection and improvisation and human mistakes, that's when I think you get the best kind of gesture drawings out there. It's in the pursuit of perfection that is what you want, not trying to be perfect. And part of it is stiffness too. It's because of when you want to be perfect, you get stiff. You get really, really like tense, and all your kind of like muscles lock up. But then when you don't try to be perfect, it's a little bit better, because then you loosen up a little bit. You become a little bit more relaxed, and that relaxation is what makes your drawings feel more lifelike, funny enough. Accepting your imperfections is what will take your drawings to the next level. Yeah, I think that's a good way of putting it as well. It's honestly, it's a really tough mentality to get a hold of, but I think that when you do, that's the thing that makes it click for a lot of people when it comes to art. Because I had that sentiment kind of repeated to me a lot from my professors and my teachers as well, which is like, stop being so stiff. And I've always, as a student and as like a kid, just been like, what does that mean? What do you mean don't be so stiff? Like what am I supposed to do with that? How am I supposed to try that out? And I've always thought that it meant like, oh, don't hold your pencil too hard. Don't move your arm so stiffly. Don't move so slow. But it's not so much of like, those are parts of it, but it's more of like it's a mental aspect of it, where it's just like, oh, it's not so much about like how you physically, don't pay attention so much on how you're gripping the pencil. Don't focus so much on like relaxing your body and your arm when you're drawing. It's more so like when you go into a drawing relaxed, as a byproduct and as a consequence, it makes you draw a little bit more relaxed. So it's actually like when you don't when you don't focus on trying to be relaxed, that's when you're the most relaxed. Oh my goodness. What is this, philosophy class? Animation? No, philosophy class. That's what this is. How's your sprain? It's like getting better, I guess. It's like bit by bit. It's everybody keeps asking, like, oh, how's your sprain? Is it healing? Is it getting better? And I'm like, kind of. It's not like fully healed, which is unfortunate, because I think I told my teammates that I don't think I could play this week, which is really unfortunate. I'm really sad about that, but because usually I feel like with a sprain I can kind of heal within about like 2 weeks, and by this coming Thursday it would have been 2 weeks. It would be 2 weeks already, but I don't know, something, because this one's a more fresh, newer kind of a sprain, because I've never sprained my left ankle before. I feel like my left ankle is taking a much longer time to heal than it usually does, which is unfortunate. Wait, actually, I totally forgot. Let me see. Where did I put Okay, the last one... Is this... Which one's the first frame? Oh, oops. I want to see which one is the first frame. Is it this one? No, it's this one. Okay, it's 25. Okay, so I have one more frame to work with on the other side. I wasn't sure like how many frames I had left. Okay, I have one more frame. Okay, and I'm gonna now turn on the blue so I know how much space I have to fill in. Oh shoot, drew on the wrong side. But yeah, it's healing. It's it's coming along. I wish it was healing faster though, but oh well. It is what it is, I guess. Find myself stuck because of perfectionism. It's better to make something imperfect than not make anything at all. I think that's a good healthy mindset to have too. I think like sometimes in the pursuit of perfection we get very caught up on trying to make things perfect, but it's actually kind of like perfection will come like as you continue working. You're not gonna become perfect because you want to be perfect, if that makes any sense. And I think the best example of this is like speed. So a lot of people, I think like the sentiment I've noticed with some students is like, oh, how do I draw faster? I want to draw faster. And what I've noticed is that when I thought back, I was like, okay, did I always draw at the speed that I draw now? It's like, no. And I wouldn't even say that I'm like the fastest draftsman. Jesse is an insane draftsman. And so like, I'm not a really fast draftsman person, meaning I can't draw that fast. But I definitely am drawing faster than I did when I was like a kid, or like even in like high school. I draw faster. So like, did I intentionally try to draw faster? And I thought about it, and it's like, no, I didn't intentionally try to draw faster. Maybe a little bit, but not really. But what made me draw faster is by just practicing and gaining more knowledge. So like by practicing more, by studying up a little bit more on like anatomy and proportions and like the mannequin and perspective, and just also studying line work and different styles. Like gaining more knowledge builds up confidence, and confidence builds up more speed, and that's how you get faster. So I think like the idea that if you want to draw faster, that's not going to get you to draw faster. That will maybe get you to draw sloppier, and sure, maybe quote unquote faster, but it's not going to really get you to draw faster properly. How you draw faster properly is to just get better, and get it better in the sense of like learning more, practicing. Taking it actually slower will get you faster, because if you take it slower, you're able to kind of intake all the things you learn better, things like anatomy, proportions, perspective. When you properly put it into practice and try these things out, then then you get to actually like practice it by like more intentionally, I guess. Oh man, that's jokes. It's a little bit offbeat. Okay, so I'm gonna try something. I'm actually going to have it be looped, but I'm gonna offset it because they're both syncing down at the same time, and that's odd. So I'm actually gonna take the first 4 frames. I'm gonna move them here, and then I'm gonna take these and then I'm gonna shift it back here. So let's try it out. Let's duplicate these. So this way the repeat is actually a little bit more earlier, so it doesn't both these coffee cups smoke, or the steam, they're both kind of sagging down at the exact same time because they're looping in the same way when I did it. But I'm gonna just reshuffle. I'm gonna shuffle the frames for the one on the left so that it doesn't sync up with the one on the right. Hopefully that makes some sense. But let's see if it works. Yeah, I think that works. Yeah, you don't really notice it as much now, like the syncing, like the bobbing up and down of the steam. Because beforehand when I played it, it was so obvious how they were bobbing up and down that I was like, ooh, that looks weird. So I basically reshuffled the steam on the left. The steam on the left, I basically kind of divided into half, and I kind of took the first half and I moved it back. I moved it like behind, moved it to the back, and then I took the whole thing and then shifted it back to the front, so it starts at the same time as like the first one. So now it's like at a different rate. They kind of bob up and down differently, so you don't notice them too much. Adds naturalness and randomness. Yeah. Only through practice can you get better. Yeah, no, definitely, for sure. Like music, if you can't play it slow, you can't play fast. Actually, you know, that's a great point. Oh, you have a question, Jabin? I have a question. Is Krita best software to learn faster if I'm a beginner? Maybe I need to switch to another. I think Krita is a good place to learn just because, one, it's free and it has a lot of what you need to learn animation. So I know that you can animate on Clip Studio. You can technically animate on even Autodesk Sketchbook, and you can animate on Procreate. But what I've heard from all of those software, which is kind of really surprising because all those that I mentioned, Autodesk Sketchbook, Clip Studio, Procreate, you have to pay for them. And what I've heard is that they all have their kind of pros and cons. So for Procreate, there is no set timeline like this, like what's on my screen. Meaning you do not see the whole timeline. Every new frame that you draw adds to the timeline. So when you first start animating, you'll see a timeline, but there'll just be one image. Then the next frame that you draw adds a new frame onto that image, and it slowly starts to extend and expand that timeline, which is weird because it means that you can't really, it's a bit harder to animate pose to pose because you can't really see the spacing from the beginning. It doesn't mean that you can't animate on Procreate. You can do amazing animation on Procreate, but the timeline aspect of it is a little bit simplified in a way. So if you're like just learning how to animate, Procreate might be a little bit tricky just because you can't work with the timeline. You can't really practice too much of animating like pose to pose in a way. But animation on Procreate looks great. It works really, really well. And it's still a very flexible software. But that's kind of like the downside. With Clip Studio is interesting, where I've heard that there's the cheaper version, but that only limits you to 24 frames per sequence, which is crazy because it's like you only can animate 1 second at a time. But you can pay for the expensive one for Clip Studio. But what I've heard is that the layering system is done in a way that is meant to replicate traditional paper flipped animation, which means that it's not a very flexible animation software, because if you think about paper is very like rigid. It's not like literally like texture wise, but rigid in the sense of like how you can add new frames, new drawings, like if you wanted to duplicate something, you can't. Clip Studio apparently doesn't allow you to do that because you can't do that in traditional animation, like paper animation, which is just kind of like, oh, okay. Like you can still lasso tool something, but you can't duplicate a frame like we did here with mine. You know how where I just grabbed like 5 frames of my animation and just like shifted them down or like duplicated those frames? Apparently you can't do that in Clip Studio, from what I've heard. Again, these are like anecdotes from my students who use Clip Studio to animate, and I was like, oh, that's kind of weird. So it's not very flexible. You almost kind of need to have everything planned out and know how many like layers you need, how many frames you need for a sequence before you start the animation on Clip Studio. So it's a little bit more, you need to do a little bit more prep beforehand. And then you have Autodesk Sketchbook, which you have to pay for now, which is weird. But then what's also weird about it is that it's very limited. It's actually kind of close to Krita's, but it's limited with how many tools you have and how many layers. So with Sketchbook, you're actually locked with only 3 layers of animation. And then yeah, with Photoshop, I guess you can animate with Photoshop. I've only done it in university, so I don't have too much experience with it. It's been a while since I've animated with Photoshop, but Photoshop, I guess you could say downside is you have to pay for it. Wink wink. But that's why Krita is crazy, because Krita is free. You can donate to them if you want to, but Krita's free, and it comes with all of this for free. So like all of this is very flexible, it's very manageable, you can shift things around, you can use all the brushes, you can add new frames to it, you can extend your timeline. There's the onion skin, which is very flexible, and you can see a lot of frames before and ahead, and it just works. So the only downside with Krita, but it hasn't happened yet in a while, I don't know, maybe I'm about to jinx myself, but Krita, the only downside is that it crashes if there's too many layers. Like if it's using too much memory, it can tend to crash. But other than that, Krita's kind of really accessible and really well user friendly for like beginner animators. The only downside is just that it's not really, you could say that it's Clip Studio is used in the industry. Procreate is a very popular software and sometimes is used a lot for like ads. People animate on it. People typically also animate on like Toon Boom for 2D animation is another software as well, but that one's really expensive because it's again industry standard. So Krita's in a weird spot where I would argue that it can be industry standard. It's just that people don't use it as industry standard because Procreate, Clip Studio, and Toon Boom have kind of taken a hold of it. I know that there are other animation softwares as well. I haven't used them, but I would just say that, like, you know, if Krita works for you, I would say like try it out. It's a very easy way to just start animating. Have I tried Toon Squid? No, I have not used Toon Squid. But yeah, that's kind of when I saw that comment, I'm like, oh, you know what? There are other animation softwares, but I've just been using Krita ever since the beginning. So, and I've tried the others. Well, tried the others in the sense of Autodesk Sketchbook, and I've found that it's limited, but it works. It transforms into other programs. I started in Krita. It is a good program. I think the other thing too is like Krita, you can use it to animate like small bits and pieces, and then you can compile them together in like other software. So if you like you can just animate with like a short bits and pieces, kind of like maybe every 100 frames, export them as like an animation sequence, and then compile them all together later on like an editing software. Yeah, it's mostly accessible if you want drawing and animation in the same software. Yeah, I can see that. Okay, we'll move on to the next one now. We are done the coffee steam. We are now gonna do the tail. So the tail of the cat is here. Oh, neat. And I am going to cut out the tail. So I'm gonna have the Helvetica cat. Also, this is Faye's cat as well, and it's kind of cool because she named it Helvetica cat, which is a really cool name. I'm gonna take the tail and I'm just gonna cut it here. Just gonna carefully separate it from the body, and I'm gonna paste it as its own layer. Now, the tail is gonna be a bit tricky because it has renderings in it. So I'm not going to worry about like the stripes inside. I'm actually only going to focus on the overall shape of the tail. You should give King's an ear flick to I wish. I mean, that would be good. Yeah. Oh, and then also Kevin, you asked about like my ankle. Yeah, it was during volleyball. Like I sprained it last Thursday. Or no, 2 Thursdays ago, I think. Now. I went up for a block and some guy basically jumped a little bit too far ahead, and then I landed on his toe. So I was like, ugh, so annoying because it's like, come on, really? You couldn't. Oh, that's weird. Oh, it won't let me duplicate it as a tail. Wait, does it? Now I'm so confused. Does it let me? Did I just have to... Oh, okay, it did. Oh, that's weird. Okay. That was strange. Okay, well, you know, whatever. If it works, I guess. Hello, hey Wanda. But yeah, basically, I play volleyball on Thursdays, and yeah, I play middle usually, and I have never ever sprained my left ankle. I usually sprain my right ankle, but I basically went up for a block, and one of the hitters on the other side just jumped a little bit too far ahead instead of jumping and landing right in front of the net. On his side, he jumped and landed just a smidge past the line, and it was just so annoying too because I watched the video and the way he jumped into the net, he didn't touch the net, but the way he jumped forward, you could tell he was reaching a little bit too much. I think the setter set it a little bit too far out instead of setting it straight up, like right towards the hitter. He set it a little bit far outside and then a little bit too far forward, and so the hitter jumped and tried to match where the ball was going but didn't pay attention to where he would land, and then he just landed a little bit past the line, and I landed a little bit close to the line. So instead of landing, I didn't land on the line, but I landed a little bit too close, which is normal for blocking. But he landed past, and so hit the tip of his toe literally past the line just a little bit. And when I came down, I landed on his foot, and I sprained my left ankle, which is it's so annoying because I've never sprained it before, so it's much worse than it usually is. Yeah, has got to be the most common in high school, and the amount of sprains I see. Lord have mercy. Yeah. You know what's funny too is that in the beginning, I asked my friend because I was like, oh, did I like, you know, the sprain, or not the sprain, but like when I went up for the block, I like asked him, I was like, did I cross the line? And he was like, yeah, you crossed the line. And I was like, oh, okay. Because, you know, when you're in the heat of the moment, you can't really tell whether or not you're like you were in the wrong or if you were like in the right position or not. And I was like, I feel like when I went up for the block, I wasn't that close to the net. Like after you play volleyball for a while, you kind of get a feeling, an idea as to like whether or not you jumped badly for a block or for a hit. Because like if you land too close to the net, you do this thing where you're like, oh, you gotta hold back a little bit. You like try to lean as far away from the net because you don't want to touch the net. You're not allowed to touch the net in volleyball. So you do this kind of like you're on your like tippy toes, trying not to like lean forward and touch the net. So like when I went up for the block, I didn't feel like I was too close to the net. And so when I sprained my ankle, my immediate thought was just, dang it, this guy landed too close to the net. So I instantly put blame on the other guy. But then when I asked my friend, he was like, no, you crossed the line and as well, or like you're too close to the line as well. And I was like, oh, really? Okay. But then what's funny is he sent me a recording of the game afterwards, and he slowed down the moment when I twisted my ankle, and then and he slowed it down already, and then I like paid attention. I paid so much attention to like, did the guy cross the line? And he did. And I was like, I knew it. You know, it was that Leonardo DiCaprio meme of just like snapping your fingers and be like, oh, there it is. See, I saw it. So yeah, the guy just landed badly on the other side, and I landed on his foot, which is annoying because volleyball is expensive now. At least where I'm at, volleyball is expensive to pay for, so it sucks when you have to like sit out for a bit, because then it feels like you kind of wasted your time, or not wasted your time, but like you lose some money on it. So I was like, dang it. Yeah, it's kind of expensive. The league that I'm a part of, and most leagues now, I've noticed, so beforehand for a whole season, roughly, like, for example, we started playing September all the way to end of January or first week of February, that's like $300 for September to early February, let's just say. It used to be 250 or maybe like somewhere around there, like 240, 250. Now it's like 300 pretty much across the board. And it's just like, dang, why are you so expensive? I know it's just like $50, but like 300 sounds 300 is expensive. 250 sounds like okay, that's like reasonable. 300 just sounds like bad. If that makes any sense. Okay, I'm also gonna just swing the tail closer to... I'm trying to have it just like swing a little bit. Let's have it go this way. So the tail movement's pretty straightforward, so I'm not gonna try to... I don't think I need to do any kind of what is it, pose to pose for the tail. I just wanted to kind of like swoop, kind of do a scooping kind of pose. So I'm just going to animate it straight ahead. And then I'll fix it. We'll fix it in post, you know, as they say. Fix it later. Was so much holy. Yeah, I've heard that that's only for the like Toronto area. So if you play in like Mississauga, or if you play in like Brampton or Oakville, it's not as expensive. Because I had a friend and his brother lives in like Oakville, I think, or something, or Brampton, I don't, or somewhere around there. And he said that his volleyball is like 175 or 200. And I was like, what? Why are his? Why did they only have to pay like 200 or like let's say at least 200, and then we're paying like $300 for ours? Like what the heck? So yeah, it's just honestly, I think it's just demand. It's because we're like near the city, we're a populated area, and like a lot of people in like the GTA area like to play volleyball now. Like it's starting to become like more regular. I think it's just like places like schools have ramped up their prices for things. It's the Toronto fee, I know, right? It sucks. So usually I take a break during the summer, and anyways, maybe, I don't know, maybe my friends sometimes they'll be like, oh, let's do like a drop-in, and I'm like, okay, sure. Those are cheap. We one time went all the way to like Stouffville or Aurora, and it was like $5. It was crazy, but like you play with randos, so sometimes it's not great because like you play with people and you don't know if they'll know how to play, and so you're kind of like, hey, you know 5-1. So for any, I guess like people who don't know, usually when you play volleyball, you play either, if you're a real noob, like you're a real beginner, you just play you play rotations. There's no positions that you play. Just basically you play and then you move over clockwise when you get the point. So after you receive, you get the point, you move over to the next position over to your left, and you just keep rotating bit by bit. But if you want to be a bit better, if you want to be a bit more professional, you play positions. So I play middle blocker, and basically usually the way it works too is that you either play, if you're playing positions, you play something called 4-2 or 5-1. So 4-2 is you have 4 designated hitters and 2 setters, which usually makes it a little bit easier for a team that's more beginner. But if you're more kind of advanced, then you play something called 5-1, which is 5 potential hitters and 1 designated setter throughout the whole entire match. Which means there's more work for the setters, and the backup setter has to kind of keep in mind that they're as a backup setter. That's what we play. So we play 5-1. But the thing is, I think a lot of people like to think they know how to play 5-1. But they don't. And so when you go into drop-ins, there's a lot of times where you'll go like, we're playing 5-1, right? And we're like, yeah, 5-1. And then and then we'll have like, and then we'll start playing, and we'll ask people like, oh, what position do you play? and they'll be like, oh, I'm power, which is like the left hitter or outside hitter. And then we start playing, and then when you get into defense, the reason why volleyball can be a little bit tricky for newcomers is because there's a lot of like, you have to memorize your positions, like where you need to go. And when people don't know how to play positions, but then they say that they do, and then you go back to receive for like defense, and then the people who don't know how to play don't go where they need to go. You're kind of like, what are you doing? Where are you standing? You need to go over there. So it's a little bit unpredictable when you go into drop-ins. So even though drop-ins are nice, because they're cheaper, it's like $5 for a drop-in. That's so nice. But yeah, you never know, because people will say that they know how to play and then they don't know how to play. Which is, I guess, that's just how it is when it comes to sports, anyways. Yeah, sorry for the random volleyball tangent. But yeah, that's my week usually. When people go like, "Oh, how's your week?" I'm like, "Yeah, played volleyball." No, not even no time for video games these days even. Usually I'm just playing volleyball. Oops. Our one who's teaching animation on Krita found a few days ago because I have Krita, and now I guess I can do better with these tutorials. Yeah. Well, glad you found our videos. I know we went on a bit of a tangent about like volleyball, but glad you found our videos. Yeah, we have a few streams, we have a few videos about how to animate on Krita. So if you want to kind of just try it out, because I think the thing with animation, especially with animation, is it's all about trying it out. Kind of getting a feel for like how it works, kind of just spending like a day just to understand like how the system works and everything, how the program works, how to get it running, and just how to get it kind of moving and everything, like all of that. I think like once you get a feel for it, it'll make it easier to animate. You're setting up for them when they aren't in the right place. Yeah. I mean, like, volleyball is tricky in the beginning because for a newcomer, if you've never played volleyball, it feels like there's a lot to juggle. So I can totally kind of see why. If you've never played volleyball, it could be like, I thought it was just bumping it up and down and getting it over the net. That's what everybody thinks. Everybody kind of makes fun of volleyball because they're like, oh, you never sweat in volleyball, or like volleyball is not hard. And then it's like, okay, well, I guess you've never played real volleyball. It's kind of like saying you play pickleball, but all you do is just kind of lobby it back and forth, or even like any kind of sport. Like if you think soccer is just kicking it into the goal, then it's kind of like, okay, that's not real soccer. Or if you think basketball is just shooting it into the basketball net, that's not basketball. So volleyball, I think a lot of people think is really easy because people play it at the beach, people kind of play it maybe in the grass area, and they just kind of bump it back and forth with one another. Like they stand in a circle and they just bump it back and forth, back and forth. And then when people go like, I play volleyball, and they're like, ew, that's a lame sport. You don't sweat in volleyball. And you're like, what? What are you talking about? And then you show them what real volleyball is, and everybody's just like dying, and everybody's like sweating. And you're like, why are you sweating? Why is this so tiring? And it's like, okay, well, it's because real volleyball is very tiring. The real ones know. I could say I know how to animate and do art, but I don't really know, or at least not in the same game. Yeah, you know, it's honestly, it's this, you can say that about like most things, I think, which is just that most things start off pretty easy. Some things have a bit more of a higher difficulty ramp than others. But then, you know, once you start to get into like the deep of it, like the real deep parts of the game, or you know, whatever it is, like whatever hobby that you want to get into, like music or art or dancing or even video games, I guess, to an extent, and whatnot, everything has like a pretty okay learning curve, I would say, for the most part. It's more about like It's more about that that learning to perfect something. That's what makes it tricky. Any sport is really hard, to be honest. Yeah, no, every sport has its like learning curve for sure. Yeah, I think what it is just like volleyball tends to get a lot of shade. I feel like not shade, but volleyball tends to get a lot of a misconception about like how hard it can be. Like even like everybody I know, I even my parents, I'll be like, oh, I'm going to play volleyball. I was like, oh, Josh, you know, you need to go exercise. And I'm like, yeah, I have volleyball. And it's like, volleyball, you don't sweat. Volleyball, you don't like. It's not a exercise. You don't even sweat in volleyball. I'm like, bro, what are you talking about? What, what do you mean? Volleyball is super tiring. Well, it can be very tiring. I wouldn't say it's like it would be super tiring, but it can be tiring if you play it right. Obviously, it's not the most tiring sport. I'm not gonna argue that like hockey or soccer or basketball, you're probably gonna get a much bigger sweat off of those games rather compared to like volleyball. But you can get sweaty in volleyball. 53. Oh boy. Okay, we don't have too much time left. I just want to kind of get a general feel for the cat's tail. Maybe that's too much. I was like, oh, we're gonna have it go all the way here. That might be a bit much. I think I'm just gonna have it curl up. Maybe here. I know it gets covered by the banner, so we're not gonna really see it, but it should be okay. I want to just do a little bit of a flick. Yeah, but volleyball, it's very dependent on like the skill level that you're playing with. It's dependent on what role you play. So a lot of the times, people will say that middle and setter are the two worst positions to go for, in the sense that like they're the most they're the positions where you got to move around the most, because blocker, you're meant to try to block everything. You're the defensive wall for your team, so you gotta have to like make sure you're on top of everything. You also are you're the bait, so you might not get all the hits, but you're the setter, and your team kind of almost wants you to make it look like you're about to go hit, even if the ball is most likely not going to be set to you. Your best hitters are your outside and opposite, which is right and left side. But so which means that it could be given to the middle, but you don't know, and the other team doesn't know, and that's kind of like the point of the middle as well. And then the setter also has a lot of work to do, because they're also running around trying to get the sets. So usually those are like the most two active roles. Not to say that like if you're power or opposite that you're not going to get a lot of hits or anything, but most people kind of agree that like middle and setter, you guys like you have to work the most. Hey, okay, nice. Oh, I forgot I have to like have it come back. Ah, no. Okay, we're just gonna have it swing. I think that's pretty good. And then we'll hold it, and then we'll do one more. It's coming back. This one might be a bit harder to get a proper loop on. I might have to take a few frames out. I might have used too many frames. Yeah, also this one maybe would have been better if I drew it, and the gray is kind of hard to see, so I might turn off the background. There we go. I should have done that from the beginning. It was a little bit hard to kind of see where the tail was. I was kind of just like, yeah, it looks like it's around here. Okay. Oh, also, I guess a quick kind of lesson on like how do I know what position I'm putting the tail in? I'm doing something called easing out and easing in. So the main positions here for the cat's tail is here and here, I guess, or like here. So this is kind of like the height of the tail when it gets up here, and this is where like mainly where the tail starts. And so what ends up happening is that in order for the tail to move more naturally, you have to ease out of the starting position. So that's why there's not a lot of movement from here to here, and then the position here is kind of close, and then here we ease into it, like it gets closer and closer, and then it settles in. And then when it comes out, you'll notice that the spacing in between each position is getting wider and wider, and then when it gets into the last position, which is this one here, you'll notice that it kind of like settles. Oh, cool. Animation, you're a setter? Nice. Honestly, setter's hard. Not a lot of people play setters, and it's also hard to find a good setter as well. So I hope you are, I hope your team appreciates you, appreciates your hard work, because setting is not a easy position to find sometimes, and it's like some people might be setters, but then they might not be great setters. Setting can be hard. Setting is hard. Yeah. Hello. Wow, few people kind of joining in last, like even now. Yeah, I know that we might go over a little bit. I definitely want to just finish the tail's position. Don't know if I'll get like the stripes in, but I will kind of just get this in here for the motion. Might have to extend the animation timeline just so that we can kind of fit the tail in, like the tail's full range of motion in. Ooh, that tail's long. And we didn't even have a chance to do like cleanup or anything. So I'm kind of just going at it, seeing where to put things. No, let's not curl it too soon. Here, maybe something like that. Okay. I think this is like okay. Let's try looping it. Let's see how it looks. It's probably gonna look a little funky, but oh, hey, that doesn't look that bad actually. Huh. Okay. I'm a little surprised actually. Okay. I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take this one out. I'm gonna duplicate this one, and I'm just gonna have it curl up a little bit more. I'm gonna erase this. I'm just gonna have it curl in a little bit more before it starts moving. I don't know. We'll see if that works. If that makes any sense. But yeah, that's why I think might have to extend the timeline a little bit more just to incorporate the tail. Here. Okay. I'm gonna not curl it. We're just gonna have it straight. have it be like this. So I think this is the starting position. Yeah. Maybe we can push this back a little bit, have it come back this way. There we go. Yeah, I have ideas and I want to try making them. Easing into animation concepts. If they don't, they're not allowed to hit except if the coach says so. Oh, interesting. Yeah, wish you luck on your animatic journey. Animatics are kind of fun because you don't have to do like super smooth, in-depth animation, but still like give a sense of motion. Oh, oops. I'm gonna leave a bit of a gap. Let's push it a little bit further. Oh, looks okay. Not bad. Let's see. Let's just play it. Hey, that's pretty good. Motion's looking a lot better. I might fix the initial tail. I don't really like that it's curled up too high for the animation to work, so I'm just gonna curve it down a little bit more just to soften the position of it. Okay, and then okay, let's see how this looks. You just got a law out of your animation class? Nice. Oh, whoops. How long am I gonna work on this? I think I'm just gonna clean up the cat's tail motion, which I think is looking much better. Yeah, I think we can honestly have it be like this. And then I think, let me see. I would have liked to have been able to do the tail. Let me see if I can do the tail real quick. Also, maybe I'll space out the animation a little bit more so that we can like loop it. So it's coming in. I think we can like space this out. Yeah, let's take this, space it a little bit further. I think we can also like space this out. And let me see. Oh, great. Okay, I think we'll push this over, so this way I don't have to like redraw the whole thing. Yeah, let's see. Hey, nice. Cool. I think this is... Hey, there we go. Okay, nice. Oh yeah, yes, roughly about 2 hours. Usually we try to keep it, but animation is always a little bit hard. I mean, even painting, sometimes our streams can go a little bit over just because we get a little bit caught up in the work that we're doing, as usual with art. Sometimes you like to be like, oh, you know, I'm only gonna spend a few hours on it, and then you end up getting real caught up on it. just got my first drawing tablet, so this channel is amazing. Keep up the good work. Oh, thank you, Pancake Max. Thank you for the words of encouragement. Glad you're got your first tablet, and hope you make some amazing stuff. And you have fun in the learning process and the learning journey. Let me see. Oh, right, I was gonna try to move Pongo's tail. Okay, so for Pongo's tail, because of how simple I'm hoping that it is, let's just grab... I'm just gonna lasso tool Pongo's tail. Like here. And so I'm gonna use the lasso tool. I'm just gonna select it, and I'm going to cut it out, put it there, and Pongo tail. And let's... Oh, I was pressing delete the frame. I was wondering why it wasn't duplicating the frame. I was like, what's happening? Okay, Pongo's tail, we're just gonna have it here. And then we're going to do something very, very simple. I'm just going to use the transform tool to move it. So we're just going to have it here. And we're going to duplicate it. So the icon here, if you see two rectangles for Krita, this means you're duplicating whatever is there already. So you don't have to redraw it or repaint it. We're just going to do a very simple tail wag. So I'm going to use the transform tool, and you'll notice that there's this little target icon inside. If you've never seen this before, if you've ever always wondered, like, what does this thing do? Basically, it's the anchor point. Wherever this anchor point is where the object rotates around. So we're going to use this, and I'm going to put it roughly where Pongo's tail is going to be. So I'm going to put it around her paw, and I'm just going to rotate it like a little bit up and down, bit by bit. So maybe I'm gonna put it here. Yeah, and then we'll have it be again like maybe here. So the nice thing about this is that I can kind of we're just gonna work at it straight ahead, and because I feel like with small dogs, their tails move very sporadically. So I'm just going to kind of move it really, really quickly. And then you'll notice that it's going in front of the table. So we're not going to worry about that just yet. I'm going to clean it up and erase it as we go. And we'll put the next one maybe a little bit further down. So there's a little bit of easing. And yeah, we're just going to zoom by this. Not going to spend too much time. And then it's going to go back up. So it's going to ease. Next one. Duplicate it, move the anchor point to the paw, putting it in the same, roughly the same spot. We're going to move it up, and then again, duplicate it, and we're going to ease it in a little bit. Go to the next one, duplicate, click, put it here, move it, maybe like here to ease it out again, duplicate, move it here back to almost like near the beginning position again, not intentionally, but just like, I don't know, just to get it there. And we're just gonna repeat this over and over. Actually, maybe I don't need to do a full thing. I can do what I did with the smoke. Okay, let me see. Is this the first frame? Okay, let's put this back around the first frame. There we go. So I'm just gonna play this, and let's just see how fast it moves. So with smaller dogs, the tails are always going to move a little bit faster and everything. So that's kind of why I'm like moving it very far. So this kind of deals with spacing. The further an object is from its first starting position or the last position that was in, it means that it's covering a larger amount of space. And if you're doing it in a short amount of time, it's going to look like it's moving very, very quickly. So that's why the tail is kind of moving in this smaller kind of a way, and it kind of works. It's not gonna look like super fleshed out because I didn't add any kind of like the hair going back and forth and anything like that, and I'm gonna have to fill in some of the details, but I think this works pretty good actually. We are going to duplicate this, and we are gonna have this fill up the rest of the sequence. Nice. Okay. And then we're just going to do a bit of cleanup. And then we'll do the same thing with the other dog, so then we can get the tail moving. And I think that should be it. Let me see. Okay, there we go. So yeah, we're just doing a little bit of cleanup. I know that I didn't color in this cat's tail, so I might do that off stream, because it's kind of just busy work. There's nothing really to it that I need to kind of do on screen or for stream. It's just kind of putting in the stripes, but hopefully showing you that you can sometimes don't have to animate every single thing. Shows you that you can get like very simple bits of animation going without needing to draw everything in sometimes. Sometimes. Not all the time, but sometimes it works. You know, as Paul Rudd says, 60% of the time it works every time. Just make the table a separate layer. It is a separate layer, but it's positioned. I guess I could lasso tool that part out of the table, and it would technically, I could kind of get away with it, but I don't know. I'm too stubborn, Kevin. I've committed to it. We'll just we'll just color it in this way. Okay, whoops, not that part. And also, hello. Yeah, and if you're just joining us, glad you're able to join us. Yeah, we're going a little bit longer than usual, so lucky you. We have not finished, and you get to catch a little bit of our stream as it's still going. But yeah, just kind of cleaning up these last bits, these last little areas here. I think this is the first frame. Yeah, okay. So I don't have to redo the whole thing. I'm just going to erase all of these, and we're just going to duplicate these ones here. Oh, why do I have so much space? Okay. You know what? I guess we'll move this a little bit further down, so there's a little bit of spacing. And then we'll also maybe move this over a little bit. Oh. Realize it eclipses Ponko's face a little bit. So we're gonna clean that up a bit. But yeah, if you guys enjoyed the stream, definitely give it a like, and we would love to see you guys back again for our future streams. Yeah, this is kind of what we do on these sessions. Oh. Interesting. Okay. Huh. I have too many frames. What? Oh, is it this spacing? Okay. I swear, yeah, I was like, oh, it's like perfectly, this is enough spacing. Okay. Sorry. I thought it would just be an easy duplicate and then little hiccup in a way with this. But yeah, if you enjoyed the stream, definitely be sure to drop a like. It helps us out a lot. And if you want to be notified of when we stream next time, definitely kind of subscribe and ring the notification bell so that you'll know when we stream next time. We'd love to continue seeing you guys here. And yeah, I'm just gonna continue finishing just one more dog. We literally have like one more dog's tail left to work with, so I'm just gonna work with this dog's tail here, and we're gonna do the exact same thing. So this is dog tail, and we're just gonna do the exact same thing. Just gonna transform it, gonna put it like right here, and we're gonna move, oh whoops, not that one, duplicate it, move it like right here, move it like a little bit, and then in the next one duplicate it, and we're gonna move it like a little bit further down, and then we're gonna have it go maybe off screen like a little bit here, and then we'll hold it just a little bit longer than before, duplicate it again, and then just gonna move it a little bit up, so we're easing into the motion, so like the spacing from one frame to the other is the same, and we'll give it a little bit more space, duplicate it, move it a little bit further up, and then in this one we're easing into the motion, so we've eased it into the final position, and then we'll hold it there for a little longer, and yeah, we'll move it back out, and then we'll move it, wait, did I? Okay, I wasn't sure if I duplicated it. But we'll move it a little bit out, and then the next one we're gonna ease it back into the beginning motion, I think. Let me see, where's the beginning one? Oh, okay, this is the beginning pose, so I think we can kind of delete that. Might actually remove a few more. Let me see, 1 2 3 4 5 6. Maybe this one we won't move it as high, so then this one we'll move it just a little bit. Let me see. So we're gonna duplicate these like before, just to check the motion, get a feel for the movement. Yeah, I mean, it's a little mechanical, but yeah, for, you know what, for the time, the amount of time that we have, I think this is okay. Let me see. Just want to clean up these areas. Yeah. I think that's it. Okay. Let's bring the background back in. Nice. Did I come at the very end of the stream? Yes, we are pretty much at the end. Yeah. Yes, the VOD will be up later. Okay, so just to kind of go through everything that we animated, and so that we can kind of just see how it all looks. I'm just gonna close so we can have a nice big full screen, or as full of a screen as we can get. And let's hit play. Hopefully it all runs properly. Yeah, so I'm just gonna leave it running. Yeah, the tail motion is a little bit rough on the dogs, but I would say that, you know what, that's okay. Also, maybe I will shift around the motion for the white dog's tail, so it's not in sync with Pongo's tail, just kind of like what we did with the coffee smoke or the steam. But yeah, this is kind of all that we animated. We animated all the coffee cups, over like the steam coming from the coffee cups. We animated the tail of the cat going back and forth, and the dog's tail. So we ran through just generally how animation on Krita works, and then we also ran through how to do a looping animation so that we can kind of keep this going on and on and on. And yeah, this is going to be our new kind of title welcoming card for our streams in the future. And we're going to put a timer on this so that you guys know when we start our streams a little bit more in a timely fashion, I guess. And that's why we're animating it, so that there's a little bit of life and there's a little bit of kind of just movement in the title screen as you guys are waiting for us to start. And yeah, hopefully this adds a nice little bit of personality to our drawings. There are a few things I would like to add, but maybe we'll do this off stream. It would be pretty much the same thing. It's just adding a bit of movement in my dog's ear. So this is my dog King. He's a corgi. Might add a few like just ear flips here and there, and maybe might add a little bit of the tiny little birds hopping up and down, just like a little bit. But yeah, I think that's about it. I'm obsessed with the cat and the steam. Oh, thank you. But yeah, this is pretty much everything. If you caught the end of the stream, if you just joined us and you're like, wait, it's over already, the VOD will be up once the stream is done. Once I end the stream, you can rewatch it again. So if you want to kind of see the process of it from the beginning, you can check it out afterwards. But yeah, thank you all for joining the stream. Just gonna kind of close off with our closing statements, and that'll be kind of it. So yeah, hope you guys enjoyed this one. We went through just like animation principles, or just animation beginner tips for if you're using Krita, and how to do a looping animation so that you guys can try it out for yourselves as well, because animation can be a little bit tough. But hopefully with this kind of stream, you can start something very simple, maybe something not too crazy or complicated. Maybe even just starting off with following along and copying my coffee steam animation could be a neat way of practicing animation. And yeah, if this is your first time joining us, welcome to our stream. We here at Wing Canvas, we're not just a YouTube channel, but we're also a school of illustration and visual storytelling dedicated to helping art nerds turn their passion into income. So if you've never heard of us before, we have an online website, as you can see on my screen, where we list out a bunch of different classes and a bunch of different instructors. So if you always wanted to level up your art skills and you want to learn anything particular in relation to animation, drawing and painting, or illustration, or even comic book paneling, then definitely check out our website. Each of us instructors specialize in something a little bit different. I do, of course, animation, but also illustration and drawing and painting principles. So yeah, if you always wanted to check out our classes or just kind of want to improve your art skills, definitely check out our website. And if you enjoyed the stream, definitely like and subscribe. The liking helps us out a lot. But if you always want to be notified of and just know when we go live, definitely subscribe and ring that notification bell. We always schedule our streams ahead of time, so you'll know when we have our streams and you can save it. But if this is your first time, we always stream on Saturdays at 3 p.m. Eastern and Mondays at 12 p.m. Eastern, and it's pretty much consistent all the time, so you can always lock it into your calendars so you know when we go live. And I think that's about it. Let me see if there's anything else. Oh, also, if you want to also keep just up to date as to like what we do, follow us on Discord and Instagram. Discord's kind of like one of the best places to check out any of our notifications or updates. We post a lot there, and Instagram is just a good way of keeping up with any kind of promotions or any of the artworks that we do for our streams and even sometimes for our classes. So definitely check us out on our social medias. And I think that's about it. But yeah, definitely join our Discord. Discord is like a big one. Oh, so let's see what is next on the docket. Next, oh, on Saturday it is me again. Wow, okay. Yeah, Kevin did tell me this. I am streaming a lot in March. So on Saturday, March 7th, 3 p.m., I will be streaming, and I am doing drawing heroines, stylized female characters in Krita. That can be kind of cool. And then on Monday, it's going to be Faye, and Faye is going to be how to draw anything you request for beginners. Oh, that's going to be a fun one. So definitely maybe have some subject matter or topic on the ready, so you can ask Faye to draw it for you guys. March of Josh, March of the Penguins, March of Josh. Yeah. Okay, well, that's kind of it, everybody. Thank you for joining our stream here. I can't wait to kind of finish up this banner so that we can have it ready, primed and ready to be used for our future streams. Hope you have a good rest of Monday and a good rest of the week, and I will see you all later. Bye-bye.